3, 2, 1, and welcome back to Chasin the Racin.
And welcome back to the podcast brought to you by, OMG, JCT, Truck and Trailer Hire, and of course, Lucky Day Competitions. But obviously, we have an episode sponsor for this one. Josh, take it away, son.
Yeah, so the episode sponsor this week is OMG Motorcycles. They've got a fantastic little dealership down in the beautiful village of Prestbury over in Macclesfield, so not too far from Alton Park. The Oakmere group itself have got a huge heritage with British sports cars, so they were one of the original Lotus dealers in the country. They're still a Morgan and a Caterham dealership. They've racing in their blood. They've got a Caterham race team and still doing that today. Recently entered into the world of motorcycles, and they are currently Norton and CCM dealers. And they've also got a selection of different used bikes as well. Absolutely cracking guys. Been down there myself. Showroom's absolutely beautiful, and not too far from Alton Park. So anybody who's heading over to the BSB testing in a couple of weeks' time, and obviously round one, if you've got some spare time, get over and have a look at the Oakmere motorcycles over in Prestbury.
Tonight in the hot seat, we have the delicious, scary, and intimidating Christian Eden. How are we doing, sir?
Hello.
I'm just going to put some different names out there. I thought
every time I get different ones.
Yeah,
I like that. It's normally gorgeous. I prefer the gorgeous one.
Yeah, you're not getting
That's
that
fine.
tonight.
I'll take whatever you just said.
I just realised this was in your way now. I didn't realise it was still there.
Well, yes, I'm here, so thank you.
That's good, mate. That is good. That is good. So obviously tonight we have Alan Gardner. How are we doing, man?
I'm okay, Don. How are you?
Gardner. That is a great way to start any podcast, and just get the name wrong straight away. There's a D in there.
Slap bang in the middle of my name.
Got to be done. Done. So,
hi Dom, hi Christian, how you doing?
yeah, there we are.
Hello, mate.
There we go. So,
do we do small talk first? Or
You can do whatever you want. Whatever you want.
To be honest, what small talk is it? I think
There's an elephant in the room.
The's an elephant in the room.
Shall we hand it
Oh,
over?
whoa. That's a bit harsh calling them that. Jesus, wet. How
Hey, it could be a compliment. The elephant in the room is the April the 1st that wasn't an April Fool's. Is that the one you mean?
Yeah. Now,
Okay. I'll go
Let's
back.
go
Let's go back
from
to
the
the start and actually make sense of
Go
it.
for the beginning. Yeah, let's go.
So we'd been dealing with a new sponsor since end of November, start of December last year. Everything was agreed. Everyone's happy. Everybody's prices are done. What they're going to get, where they're going to get logos, where they're going to get on the bike. All of that is sorted. We start invoicing them in January at their request, and we invoiced January, February, March. We hadn't been paid anything, but they were a substantial company. I wasn't concerned by that. For them, there were approvals on payment levels and things like that. Okay, it's standard in a lot of companies. And then about 9-10 days before April the 1st, we were told they're not going ahead anymore. And we're like, well, we've been invoicing for 3 months. I know you haven't paid, but we've been invoicing. Nobody's complained about an invoice. Nobody's done this. Nobody's done that. What the is going on? And so we're then talking to them, we're battling, what's gone wrong, how can we sort? And then it came to its final phase of it, if you like, which was March 30, there's 31 days in March, aren't there? 31 days in March, Grace?
Yeah.
You got phone in your hands, yeah. Anyway, the day before April the 1st, I got final confirmation that we're not going to go ahead, we're not going to go any further. So I hadn't told anybody up until that point because I believed I could get the deal back on. There'd been nothing. I didn't know of anything that had materially changed. We were still running the same people. We were still running the same bikes. This team is the same. So I'd been battling. I thought I could get it back. When it got to the point that I couldn't get it back, which was then April the 1st, well, 31st, it was late on the evening. It was both the fastest I could tell people and the slowest I could tell people at the same time. I mean, I knew something 9-10 days before, but I thought I could get it back, so you don't want to panic anybody.
Because you were loading vans and trucks and everything to go straight to the Navarra test, wasn't it? Yeah.
On the evening of April the 1st is when the truck was meant to go to Navarra. Now, okay, let's clear some things up. We haven't gone bust. OMG have not gone bust. What we lost that the sponsor was providing was our operating budget. That's the budget that covers most of the guys' wages. It covers tyres, fuel, our operating costs, basically.
Because bear in mind,
There's been lots. I've got to do one thing. There's been lots and lots of things. OMG gone bust, and they owe £8 million. That's my favourite one. We do. If you go to our accounts, we owe £8 million on the accounts. It's called a director's loan. It's owed to me. I have not recalled the debt. It's how much I've invested into BSB in 7 years. So we're not going bust. I'm not going to. The only way it can go under is if I call the debt in. I'm going to call the debt in for myself. So that's not happening. We are asset rich. We own everything that we have. We own our motorhomes, our trucks, our bikes, our engines, our workshops, everything. Okay? No, sorry, tell a lie. Apologies. We rent the workshop. It's up to date. We don't owe anybody any money. Literally, we owed Yamaha some money until this morning because part of the support package that we had from them of being the officially supported team was that we had an account where we drew down parts and were supported to a certain level. That's been paid off this morning. At this point in time, we owe nobody a penny, and we never do. We pay our bills. Ask anybody in the paddock. We pay faster than anybody else, better than anybody else. It's what I think is the right thing to do. So we get the April 1st, and I'm like, shit, I haven't got the budget. The thing that I need to actually operate as a race team has disappeared, and it's that, and it's late in the day, isn't it? So what do? If we go testing, the truck was meant to leave for Navarra that night. If I send the truck, I'm then committing to testing. Now, committing to testing for 3 super bikes and 2 bikes that are going to run in the TT is £25,000 to £30,000 of tyres. It's £5,000 of fuel. It's £5,000 of flights for 29 people to go out. It's £5,000 for hotels for 29 people to stay. It's anywhere between £3,000 and maybe £7,000, depending what sort of food bill we get to feed 29 people for 4 or 5 days. And I took the view that it was better to spend that money to look after the guys as best as I could going forward and to give them notice so that they find another ride, find another job, find another... Because I was dropped in the shit and I've got a matter of a few weeks. If I hadn't told people, we would have ended up in Navarra. Everybody thought everything was fine. After Navarra would be now, and then I still haven't got my operating budget. How much time to get a ride or another ride? How much time to get a mechanic, another mechanic? Can't do it. So I did what I believed was the only option I got, is go, we can't go on. The money's not there to compete.
With that in mind, do you, in hindsight, believe that maybe you should have said something when you first came up with the idea, became aware there might be a problem, to give an extra 10 days or so, or did you really think you could get it back?
I really thought I could get it back because I couldn't see anything that was wrong with it.
It wasn't just getting that back, it was getting obviously the 3 months prior to that.
I know what you mean. So. I mean, we're a business like anything else, you know. Revenues come and go, deals come and go. That's the nature of the beast. I mean, if I told everybody every problem we had in running the business, I'd be boring the fucking shit out of them all the time. And they'd be going, why are you bothering me with this, Al? Or, please, I'm about to go on my bike. I mean, it would fill up your entire day, you know. We're a large team of in excess of 40 people. You can't tell everybody everything because you just, that's not done.
But how concerned were you when
if you strain your calf muscle on your 100k ride today, would you tell your boss? Or would you just make sure it was all right tomorrow?
Well, I'd make sure it's all right.
There you go.
Right.
We don't do that. It's not done. No business in the world does that.
But also, I'm sorry. So when you first sort of thought this is when they first said, "Oh, we're not going to continue."
Yeah.
Did you just think they're not, or how you see?
No, I didn't just think they're not. We battled with it. We were trying to work out why. We were trying to work out. Yeah, but I mean, this is a company we've been invoicing. Mm-hmm. You know, arguably. We're in a contract, you know, and the contract was prepared by them. There were, as in any contract negotiation, there are bits you go, I'm not happy with that. It bounced back and forward a few times. But they prepared the contract. They then requested that we start invoice them. You know what I mean? You're sort of in a, what the fuck is going on? I'm not going to tell you who they are. I'll go into in a bit because I now know exactly why they pulled the sponsorship, and I'll go through that in a minute.
That was going to be one of my questions. So that's good.
I know now. I didn't know at the time.
Right.
I didn't know at the time when it started getting a little bit. Why have they not paid? Why is it not this? What's the problem? You couldn't get hold of somebody. You know, it's those sort of things. I know what they've pulled. I'm not going to name them because I firmly believe... I don't think there's enough time for them to come and sponsor somebody else this year, because it took quite a long, protracted time for us to get the deal across. And there's a lot go into that. Things like our team uniforms were ordered in December last year with their logo on. You know, we haven't had them yet. So that's how long some of these things take. People don't necessarily realise there's £200,000 worth of merchandise being produced. It kicks on all sorts of problems that we can't do it now, because you can't have somebody's logo. You can't display somebody's logo without their permission. And if we're not in a contract with them anymore, I'm in breach of that contract. I'm in breach of copyright law. I mean, all sorts of things. But I firmly believe that they will find somebody through this year, and then next year they will sponsor them. And I don't want to prejudice any other team from dealing with them thinking this might happen to me. And I don't want to stop another team being supported because it was a substantial sponsorship. I don't want to screw up another team. I don't want to piss the sponsor off if I name them. This is what goes on in that paddock, he's named me. I'm not going to support anybody. When he could go and give 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 riders an opportunity to race. So it's not my style. I don't do that.
No.
Admirable.
I don't know about stupid, maybe, but
No, it's not stupid. You're thinking of the bigger picture, aren't you?
In that respect, as much as they've left you in a bad position, how's your relationship with that sponsor?
Personally, I've not spoken to him for a few days, but prior to it, we'd been out for drinks and we'd been on track together, and it was I believe, a good relationship. I believe the guy that I dealt with, I think is genuinely gutted. He's been overruled by people above him. So, and even more the reason that I can't, he's a nice guy. He's a nice guy, and I firmly believe they'll come back in the paddock. For all I know, they'll be on you next year. But if I upset them, if I sully their name in any way, even though I could do so in an honest way, this is who they were, statement of fact, I can't do it.
Was it personal to you?
To me, yes. Yeah, it was because of me. Elephant in the room. Okay. They cancelled the contract because I have a previous criminal conviction. Would you like me to go through all of that now?
I don't give a shit.
Okay.
This is your pod,
This is now. I think it was about 2 years ago. We whistled around the paddock that people Google you, don't they? They Google you. I don't know whether they Google me. They Google you because you're fucking good at what you do, and they're jealous of you because you can ride a bike in that way. And anyway, I don't understand why people Google me. I just, try and run a business. But anyway, they do. And if you Google me, it will come up that I have a criminal conviction from a number of years ago. And that happened a couple of years ago. It happened 2 or 3 years before that as well. And now this is the third time. And I've never addressed it. I've had 2 interviews from the last time, which was when we split with Rich Energy. I had 2 investigative journalists come and interview me about it. And I went through everything with them, brutally honest with them, and both of them decided that it wasn't worth publishing. So, but I'll do it again now. Okay. I'm going to bore the fuck out of you now because this goes into a long time ago and a chunk of my life that it was a different life. God, that makes it sound really bad. Okay. I used to work for people. I don't work for people anymore. I've worked for myself and run businesses for many years now. But 30 years ago, I used to work in financial services. I used to work in commodity brokerages. I used to work with currency brokerages. I've worked in New York. I've worked in South Africa. I've worked in, a number of European countries. I've worked in Indonesia. I worked in Japan for a little bit. And I bounced all over the world in those circles. Was probably a cock. As you earn too much money, you're young, you're not married, you've got no kids and all that sort of stuff, and you're a bit of a dick. And I've done all that. So, not big, not clever, but it was the circles you're in. I didn't particularly enjoy the life of it other than you weren't very well. And it got to a point where 24-ish years ago, I then lived in Jakarta in Indonesia. Worked for a couple of brokerages out there, and you deal with expats and you deal with wealthy people and you sort their investments and that sort of stuff. At that time, actually, no, maybe a couple of years longer than that, because my daughter, real personal life now, I split from my wife before my daughter was born. I split from my wife before we knew she was pregnant. This actually will make sense in a minute. Wrong reason to get back together. It's, a baby doesn't solve your marital problems and all that sort of stuff, but, da-da-da-da. Now, if all men listening to this, you're a man, you've got a child, I know that. One? Still only one, just one.
That I know of.
Until they're one, let's not go into that. You'll get yourself into more trouble than I'm in at the minute.
Nicola's a fear. Well, we should probably had another one and just come. We're going to keep you away from her.
Any man that's got a fairly young child will get this. From the age of birth to one, you don't even exist to the child. It's mum. That's nature. That's what it is. 1 to 2, you might get the odd little, oh, that's me dad. Yeah. And 2 to 3, they start realising, oh, actually, you're here all the time. You're actually, you might be important. You might be important. Anyway, you become more important in your child's life at that point.
How old's your son?
In that range.
It's true, though, isn't it?
Just about start to acknowledge me.
You understand where I'm coming from there, don't you? So,
in fact, he says hiya, mate. So I don't know.
I've had these sort of
Fist
conversations.
bumps you on the stairs. Sorry, Alec.
No, it's all right. I've had these sort of conversations with friends of mine that have been young fathers, and you try and explain to them that they ain't going to pay attention to you. No, they are, because I'm a modern. No, mate, it's not. You can't get past 100,000 years of evolution. They want mum, and that's your lot. So, and because I'd already split with my wife, we're still friends. There's no issue there. I think the last time she called me was 2 or 3 days ago because there was a problem with a car, right? And my daughter's married, so it gives you an idea. So I'm an old man. So, but I was still working abroad at the time. We'd split up. I was still working abroad, and it sounds awful, I know. It didn't matter much to it mattered to me, but to my daughter it didn't matter. So I would go and work in Indonesia for a couple of months, come back for a few weeks, until she was about 1. And then between 1 and 2, that became a month there, a week back, month there, because she was starting to sort of know who I was. And then 2 to 3, I commuted. I flew to Indonesia Jakarta on a Monday morning, flew back on a Friday, worked for 3 days. And then I moved back to the UK because then I became important in my daughter's life. And then when I came back, I was working with a brokerage, working with some guys. We were sort of running an investment fund. And I came back and I managed some paperwork from the UK because I was now back in the UK for my daughter. All our clients, bar 1 or 2, were based in Jakarta. They were expats very rich in natural resources. They've got gold and tin and copper and aluminium and gas and oil. So there's a lot of expats there. From the UK, from America, from Australia. And we were working there. And one morning, I'm trying to remember the date. You should remember this, shouldn't you? I think it was like November the 6th. One morning, I had 15 police officers banging on my door at 6 o'clock in the morning. And I don't know what the fucking hell was going on. And I got arrested. There had been, I was told there was some impropriety within the investment fund. I knew nothing about it, and I can hand on heart say I knew nothing about it. Still know not really what went on. And I was taken to a police station, and I was put in a cell, and I was there for about 10 or 12 hours before they spoke to me. And then they spoke to me. I understand, none of us, you understand the psychological bit that they're doing, I'm not weak psychologically, so I had coffee every half an hour and asked to go for a cigarette when they'd let me. I smoked a lot then as well, Dom, yeah. And all the time, and my uncle at the time was building a house in the south of France, and I was meant to be going to France that night, and I bought him a generator as part of his Christmas present, because his house he was building, he'd got no electric yet, so he was just sort of digging foundations. So I bought him his generator, and I put it in the back of a pickup, and I was going to drive it to the south of France. I was on the ferry that night to give him power so he could work through when the nights went darker. And I kept going to these places going, I'm on a ferry tonight because I know I haven't done anything wrong. I'm on the ferry tonight. Can we gee this along a bit? And they eventually spoke to me, and I was interviewed for a couple of hours, 2.5 maybe hours, and then released. They gave me my passport. But at that time they froze my bank accounts, froze my credit cards, blah 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 blah. Okay. So I took my phone off me, and it would have been a laptop at the time. I don't think iPads existed then. This is 2005. Did you have an iPad in 2005? Don't know.
Grace, can you find out when the iPad was made? I'm just more kidding. It's a good question.
It's not. No. You see, you're going to be so quiet now. So I came out there. I had about £400, I think, in my pocket when they let me out the police station, and I had no phone. So I got a taxi because they don't give you a lift home. You realise this. You know what I mean? I'd never been in trouble. So you realise that they don't actually give you a lift home. They just sort of abandon you 20 miles from your house and go on your toes. Okay, so I got a taxi. I went to Tesco's. I bought a pay-as-you-go phone. So I got some contact. I phoned my girlfriend at the time that I'd meant to have been having lunch with that day because I was on a day off because I'm going to France that night. And gone, blah, 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 blah. This has happened. She's like, oh my God, blah, blah. And then, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to go and see John. It's my uncle. This will get sorted. I haven't done anything wrong. Then, someone's going to go. Sorry, Mr. Gardner. It's all been a big mistake. So I got home. My girlfriend brought me some cash because I needed some cash because I'm going to drive through France and that sort of stuff. And my bank had just been frozen. My credit cards wouldn't work. And I phoned the ferry company. I'll be honest, I told them a little white lie. I said I'd had a car problem. I didn't tell them I'd been arrested. I said, I've had a car problem. I'm not going to make the booking of the ferry I've got. Can I do a later one? Yes, you can. Marvellous, thank you. Da, 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 da. And I drove to the south of France. And I went to my uncle's house. I had beef bourguignon, glass of wine on his veranda. I got there. Ask away.
Oh, no, I'm just...
I can see you poised.
No, I'm just... just more like, like where you are... in the business at this point, the pecking order, you've been locked up, you've got to pay as a phone go. It's a bit like, I'd be ringing me boss going.
Yeah, but I was one of the bosses.
That's what, right. That was my question.
So, sorry. Okay, two things. I understand that 2 other people have been arrested, but they're in Indonesia. They're 10,000 miles away.
Right.
I'm the only one in the UK.
Got you.
So, and I'm told I can't talk to these people, and I can't do that. And I'm thinking, well, obviously something's happened. I know I haven't done it. So, the natural assumption is,
Who's orchestrated this thing then? Because obviously it's multinational, so...
It was a serious fraud office. Serious fraud office.
In the UK?
In the UK.
Right. Because that's quite a big thing, isn't it, to go after people in Indonesia and in the UK?
I guess so, yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of money involved.
Right.
A lot of money involved. But I knew I hadn't done anything. They're not a sponsor, but they can be. Coca-Cola, if you want. I like the lemon one.
But you've enjoyed your beef bourguignon because you think you're good.
Well, I know there's a fuck up.
Yeah.
I know I haven't done it, so I know there's a problem. Something's gone on, blah, blah, blah. And by the time I get back, I'm going to get a call. We're ever so sorry, Mr. Gardner. There's been a big mix-up. You're free to go. Okay. I wasn't allowed. I was told not to speak to anybody over there, and they would, and okay. And I complied with the law. I was a goody two-shoes, if you like. I did what they said. I'm not going to contact my business partners in Indonesia. And I'd see my solicitor, and 3 months go by, and I'm waiting for this morning. I'll go and see my solicitor. I then have to go to a court hearing, blah, blah, blah. Goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on. After a year, it gets worse than that. After a year, I get told by my solicitor that my business partner in Indonesia has died. So they're no longer investigating him. What? I knew. He thought I knew. He thought I'd actually been in touch, and he thought I knew this. And I'm like, and I was obviously quite shocked. And I go, what do you mean? He said, yeah, his wife has gone. He's got a local wife, an Indonesian wife. His wife had gone to the local town hall for a fee of $50. Says, my husband's died. Here's his death certificate. Stop the investigation. Stop the investigation over there. I'm like, fuck.
That'd be
what happens next? Nothing very quickly, truth be known. A further 2.5 years later, I was on bail for 3.5 years. I eventually went to court, 3.5 years on bail. Now, if I tell you what I did through that 3.5 years, I worked in the aluminium industry. I went in and out of the United Kingdom 2 to 3 times a week. I had my passport. I'd go for a meeting in Germany, then go straight from Germany to Turkey, go from Turkey to Bulgaria, fly back to the UK. And then the following week, I might have been in South Africa, I might have been in Kenya, I might have been in anywhere. Basically, I ran sales for an aluminium machinery company that dealt with aluminium foundries, and I ran the sales for them for Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. So just a very small proportion of the world. And And I was still waiting every day for, I'm ever so sorry, Mr. Gardner, there's been a great big mix-up. We found the evidence over here for what has gone on. You're now free to go. Okay. Never happened. Never happened.
How aware were you of what the allegations were during this time? Do you know fully?
I still don't know fully.
Okay, sorry.
Genuinely, no, it's
so
fine.
During this time,
it's ridiculous.
You definitely don't know what's going on.
It's ridiculous that I still don't know everything, because I know some things that were UK based. There were 2 guys in the UK that lost about £500,000. If I say by the end of this process, they had their money back. Okay, I'll just get that one clear. But there was, and that's the only bit that I was sort of privy to. I wasn't allowed to, and then I was, it's weird. They tell you nothing. I was interviewed once by the police until I went to trial 3.5 years later. I was interviewed the day I was arrested, and that was it. Right? Which is weird. You think you know the law, don't you? I thought I knew the law. I watch films and I watch TV programs, and you do all that, and you think, this is how it works. You see courtroom things, and this is, fucking doesn't.
3 years
I used to like Judge Rinder when it was on. It's not on anymore.
I'm not sure this would be one. Rumpole of the Bailey, maybe. This might be on. I don't know.
Just watching it, and Alan turns up on Judge Rinder.
I'm trying to think.
It's been 3 years. Come on, Judge. What's going on?
But it's 3 years. I mean, you're not meant to laugh about any of these sort of things, and I know you're not. I'll give you an amusing bit that happened about 2.5 years into it. I can't give you the exact date. They'd found some bank accounts that I was linked to, but I didn't control. And they ordered me to they found one that they thought there was 800,000 in. And they ordered me to bring it into the country. And I've gone, I can't, because I don't control it, right? But they gave me a court order saying I've got to bring it in. But I don't control it. I can't do it. Okay. It's like somebody giving you a court order to go and drive my car, but if you haven't got my keys, you can't. So you say you can't, and eventually they take you to court for not complying with the court order, and then they find you in contempt of court because you haven't complied with the court order, even though you can't, because they don't believe that you can't. But if you can't, you can't. But the funny bit, I don't know whether I should say it. If my barrister listens to this, or their barrister, I know bits of law. Now, the bits of law that I've been involved in, I know intimately now. Because you do.
Because you're part of the situation.
Right? But I trusted the justice system. I trusted the police, and I'm probably quite foolish for doing it. I've been in touch with them. I'll give you some figures in a bit, but I've been speaking to the Ministry of Justice this week so that we can do this, so that I've got some facts and figures for you. So you go to a contempt of court hearing, and the only people allowed to speak are the 2 barristers, mine and the prosecution, and the judge. Nobody else, no matter who's in the room, can speak. That's an unusual one, apparently. But I'm there with so I have my solicitor and I have my barrister. Fantastic barrister. Their barrister, really, really good barrister, and 3 guys from law authority. I don't know exactly where from, because they're not allowed to speak anyway. I shouldn't do this, because it is quite, you'll laugh, because I nearly fucking cracked up in this. So, judge is there, and it's the only time I've ever been in a court of law in my life in a pair of jeans and a t-shirt with a bag in my hand, because I'm going to prison today because I'm in contempt of court, and that will be my sentence. Because I haven't complied with this order. And my barrister's gone to me, he says, you're going to get anywhere between 3 and 9 months for contempt of court. You will lose because you haven't complied with the court order. So there's no way you can't, there's no argument whatsoever. But here's the one thing about contempt of court that I know now that I didn't know at the time. We all know that people get sent to prison and they do half of it, don't they? We all know that, don't we?
Everybody it's kind of,
Not for contempt. You do every day. Now, according to my barrister, because it's against the court, you're going to do everything they give you. My barrister has gone, people going to prison for contempt of court is really, really rare. Because when it comes to the court there, you go, oh, here it is, so you don't go to prison. Yeah. I couldn't do it. I genuinely couldn't do it. So he said, you're going to go. He said, but the judge may not realise that you're going to serve every day. Because every sentence he normally gives, they temper their sentencing around what they actually want. If they want you to serve a year, they'll give you 2 because they know you're
you mean they almost give you more than what they're going to...
Yeah, because if he actually wants you in prison for a year, he'll give you 2. So if he actually wanted for me to do 3 months for contempt, he might give me 6, but I'm going to do it all. So what my barrister said, he said, this is what's going to happen, Alan. He told me point blank, and he was absolutely correct. We're going to go in. Have I complied with the court? As a statement of fact, no, I haven't. Because the fact that I can't doesn't matter, right? In legal terms, the judge could tell you to jump over the court building, and if you don't, you're in contempt and will go to prison. Weird law. It's really archaic. It's when judges weren't respected. I suppose lots aren't anymore, but it's when the general, you know where I'm coming from. So the judge goes, okay, Mr. Gardner, I find you in contempt of court. I'm going to retire to chambers to consider sentencing. At which point my barrister, excuse me, Your Honour, blah, blah, blah. Can I just have a few words? Of course you can, blah, blah. And he starts to go into explaining about, I know the law, blah, blah, blah. I know the sentence. Okay, fine. But my barrister told me that the barrister that was against us, you got to remember what barristers are. They argue for a living. That's all they do. Okay? It's quite fascinating. If you're not involved, it's fascinating to watch a barrister at work because they do just argue for a living and they twist things to, that's all they do. Any women listen to this or men listen to this that are married to a barrister, you know exactly where I'm fucking coming from. You can't win. No matter what you say, you're going to get screwed up. This is the quietest these two have ever been, isn't it?
I'm taken in.
Right. I'll carry on, don't worry. So, so my barrister said, my barrister was a proper old school, probably 4th, 5th generation barrister, 300-year-old big, shabby thing, right? But mentally brilliant. Their barrister, also mentally brilliant, because they all are. If you're at this level, you're very good. But he was one of these impeccable, everything, perfect. And apparently, according to my barrister, loves the sound of his own voice. I'm going to get arrested after fucking talking this just because they don't like me for this one. He said, if I'm going to talk to the judge, I'm going to try and explain about the sentencing for contempt. And he said, I know he'll want to talk. And if he wants to talk, he might slip up. He might say something he shouldn't because he likes his own voice to the barrister. Okay. I can't say anything in this hearing anyway. So my guy's done his bit, blah, blah, blah. Yes, of course you can. Done his bit. No, I know, I understand the sentencing law. And their barrister thing, can I just have a word, Your Honour? Of course, it's only fair, this sort of thing. He said, well, it's about this 800,000. What do you mean about this 800,000? There's a transcript of this somewhere. It was Hereford Crown Court. It would have been 2008 some point. Somebody find it because it's brilliant, right?
This is so comic.
But, mate, this is. I've had a long time to be at peace with this. It's fine,
Yeah. But at the time, you must have been.
Oh no! This day I was
bricking it.
I knew I was going to prison. I had no idea what to accept. But however,
when you sat there, how hard is it not to just go, and just plead your case and then get even more?
You get slapped down for it. You get slapped down for it. In my actual trial, you're not allowed to speak. They stop you speaking. After the barristers twisted what you've said, and they do, and my barrister would twist what they said. That's what they do. It's a game for them. When you know you can untwist it because he's gone. They stop you speaking. That's the bit I didn't know about the law. I thought I was
that would wind me up like you cannot believe.
But no, let me go back to this because it is amusing. It is amusing. So this guy says it's about this 800,000, and the judge said, he said, well, we're not sure. He said, what do you mean you're not sure? He said, well, there could be lots more. There could be millions. He said, but no, we're certain there's 800,000 in this account, aren't we? He said, well, we don't know. He said, well, if we don't know, what are we doing here? I reversed my judgment, Mr. Gardner. You're free to go. And I've done that because you've got the biggest smile on your face because you've just lost your freedom and you've just been giving it back because Big Mouth over here has tried to make it worse for me.
Because the judge decided as much as there could be more, there could be none or less.
Yeah. If you're not sure, I can't convict him of contempt for not doing something you're not sure about.
Then what happened?
Well, I'm like that. I get on and says, can I get out of here? Because I'm trying not to smile. I mean, who wouldn't smile? You've just lost your liberty. and you know you've lost it. He's going to just go and decide for how long for, and then says, "Go away." You can't not smile. I said it was funny. And it's a legal thing. You shouldn't. I get that, but you can't not. And I'm like,
how could I'd be cartwheeling out the door.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, so I get outside. Anyway, so that was one thing that was amusing, at least during my my being on bail for 3.5 years, and then I eventually went to court.
Like a year later, or is it?
It's about a year after that. It was 3.5 years after I was arrested in. I was arrested in November 2005, and I went to court at the end of May and started Mr. fucking TT. When
they're so inconsiderate.
My birthday's the 2nd of June as well, so at least I had the judge wish me a happy birthday. Genuinely, I wish you many happy returns today, Mr. Gardner. I understand it's your birthday. In the middle of my trial.
What a prick!
Well, no, I haven't been convicted of anything. I'm still a normal person to him at the time.
Fair enough.
I'm not making light of this. I'm really not. But I'm sorry, but if you don't find humour in adversity, you will go fucking mad.
It's your way of dealing with it.
You know,
mate.
If you fall over, your mate falls over, you laugh at him. He's broke his fucking leg, but you're still going to laugh because it's what we do. It's our way of getting through things. So I know there are going to be people that listen to this. I don't want any of this fucking editing. I know there are going to be people listening to this.
Grace is like that.
People are going to listen to this and go, he's been smug. I'm not being smug about anything, right? I am still, in a way, coping with what happened to me.
Well, that's evident given the way this story started, to be fair.
How did it start?
As in, it's due to this that it's...
Oh, yeah.
You lost
I'm still coping.
Potentially
on that, yeah, I get where you're coming from there. But so, I haven't done my trial yet. You can button if you want.
No, carry on. No,
I don't mind.
No, because you're talking about that. I'm like, what happened next? You know, so you went back to trial.
Now I go to trial for the offence of, and the offences I was accused of, specifically, because the word fraud doesn't come into them, because fraud goes around the paddock, are obtaining, and I'll be as precise as I can, obtaining money orders by deception and false accounting. Now, the reason it comes in is that the fund that people lost money in and they shouldn't have in the way they lost it because somebody did something naughty, I was paid from. So that's deception. Their money was in there, and because I was paid from it, that is obtaining money orders by deception because my pay came as such. And false accounting was because when I was informed by the guys in Indonesia what the fund had done for that day, that week, that month, I would report it to clients, and I passed on the information because I was working from the UK. That's what I actually got done for. So I wasn't done for fraud. The people involved in this, I met 2 of them in my trial. They're the only 2 people, clients of this fund, that I've ever met in my life. Okay? Fact. Somebody get the fucking transcript. It took 3.5 weeks of trial. You'll have a lot of reading, but somebody get the fucking transcript because I'm not lying about a fucking thing here, and it pisses me off. But I found out the law can fuck you up quite badly. And I used to have faith in the justice system. I was brought up that way. My mother brought me up. If you ever did anything, you'd be little buggers when you're kids, and the couple would take you home. When you're 7 or 8 years old in the village I was brought in, the local bobby would take you home. That's the worst thing that could ever fucking happen because your mum found out you were throwing stones at a train or something. I don't know. But it's a weird thing when you become. I'm quite a big guy. I don't get scared of things. I don't get emotional about things. I don't get rash about things. But it's very difficult to be helpless. There's fuck all you can do. I'm not good at it. It doesn't fit my psyche. Mm-hmm. And when you're in court and you realise that it doesn't work the way you see it in films, it doesn't work. If I asked you something, Christian, and you gave me an answer, and went, that's because he's been, and I'm not going to say that, but doing something that everybody else would consider horrible, right? Now, if we were talking normally, you would correct me, but you're not allowed to do that in a court law. right? And then the other thing that I found out that you always see in films and you always see on TV when it's in court, but isn't real. So I think I was on the stand for 3 days, giving evidence. And during those 3 days, whether I was in court, out of court, at home, because I wasn't in a cell or anything like that when I was in court, I was not allowed to speak to my solicitor or my barrister. See, you just went like that.
I had no idea that
Well,
was...
of course you can. Seriously, of course you can, can't you? Because that's what we think. No, you can't. Your barrister has a particular phrase for it. Anybody listen to this? Know a barrister? Ask them if I'm right. I cannot see you. And they will raise their hand. If I went in to speak to my barrister, which I did at the end of the first day, because some things had been said to me or questioned of me, and then the barrister that I gave, you give an answer to the barrister, their barrister, the prosecution barrister, and he would then twist it to the jury. Okay? You try and speak up and get that corrected, and you're told that you've got to be quiet or you'll be held in contempt. Weirdly, I know the contempt law because a year before they had me for contempt, or were doing me for contempt. So you don't, because they'll just take you out the building anyway. But you think, I'll remember that, and I'll speak to my barrister at the end of the day when we come out of court, and then I'll get him to ask me about it, because he will let me talk, and I can explain whatever it was at that point. So the first time you do that, which is the end of the first day, he goes, I cannot hear you. No, I cannot see you. Sorry. I cannot. And we'll literally put the hand up to your face. I cannot see you. And then he would actually, because he has to do that. It's a weird thing. It's quite archaic, the legal system and how they work. Barristers wear 2 pairs of tights. Did you know that? That's another weirdo thing. That's how I got from a barrister. They wear 2 pairs of tights because once Queen Victoria saw the hairs from a man's leg coming through his tights when he's just, they wear those.
I know some blokes who do that aren't barristers.
The stockings normally that, isn't it, surely? But then he's allowed to explain to me. He said, I'm sorry, Mr. Gardner, but I cannot talk to you. You cannot talk to me about anything to do with the case because you're still technically on the stand.
Not even.
No.
Not even. Like,
no.
In
No,
that
no,
room,
no, 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 no.
Even outside of the courtroom, nothing.
Can't talk about it.
Even though they're working for you.
Can't talk about it.
Are you employing this man?
I cannot see you. Honestly. Yeah, £5,000 a day.
You employ this man to represent you, and you cannot talk to him.
No, can't talk to him.
Up until what point can't you?
Until I'm released from the stand, at which point I cannot.
Beforehand. Up until you go on the stand.
Once you're on the stand, once you're sworn in to give evidence, until you're released.
Right.
And you're saying that's 3 days.
I was on for 3 days, so obviously at the end of the court day, whatever it is, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, I then leave the court and I go home. And then I come back in the morning. And
you can't talk.
Can't talk to him.
What?
Right? Can't say to him, what he's just said there is an out-and-out lie, or it's been twisted to this. And blah. You can't say to him, which I wanted to do. You asked me the question.
I was going to say, what you're hoping is he'll catch on that it's been twisted. You're hoping he'll switch on and say, ask me again.
Bear in mind, he knows it's twisted because that's what he would do.
He's doing the same the other way.
This is why it's a game to them. That's what they do. But what he doesn't know, unless it's something specific that he and I have spoken about before the trial, he doesn't know my answer. And if he doesn't know my answer, in his own words, he won't ask me the question.
Yeah.
So if their barrister has pulled something out of nowhere and it then is something that my barrister doesn't know about, he won't bring it up. And I'm desperate that he does. Mm-hmm. And I can't tell him that. But in film and TV, you can. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's what I thought the law was. You think it's an accurate representation of what actually goes on. It's not. It's not. So there was an amusing bit in the court as well. The people that we used to deal with, when I worked in that world, were very, very wealthy. I mean, very, very wealthy. So of the 2 people that I'd never met in my life before that happened to be in the UK at the time or willing to come, bear in mind, all these people that we actually dealt with were 10,000 miles away from where I was because I'd come back from my daughter. I was missing my daughter. She was starting to miss me. We've just done that bit. There's another bit that I'm doing this because I have to find amusement in it because it fucked me. I have to find amusement in this. But when they bring a guy up on the stand that's lost £200,000, which is a lot of money, and I think in anybody's book, you're about to find out it's not. I think in anybody's world, £200,000 is a lot of money to lose. And I didn't take it. Hand on heart, I can do that. I don't give a fuck who believes me or not anymore. I've done my bit, which we'll get to. Their barrister, this is another one now where get the answer first before you ask the question. But he took the natural assumption that we would and asked this guy, and has this seriously affected your livelihood, your way of living? No, not really. You see, you just didn't know. I'm in court trying not to fucking laugh. The guy's worth £500 million.
Wow.
He ain't going to miss 200 grand. He might be pissed off with it.
The principle of it.
But it's not going to hurt him.
Yeah.
It's still... We shouldn't, but you just did. You see, you did exactly what I'm trying not to do, because I'm in a fucking court of law and I'm trying to... Because that is funny. If you put that in a Monty Python sketch, you'd laugh at it.
You would,
You know? And these are things I have to take out of it, because I have to, the rest of it was not humorous at all.
This doesn't sound real already. This sounds like a movie. This sounds mental.
I think I was convicted on the 20th or 21st of June 2009, Worcester Crown Court. Go and find the transcript. It's a matter of public record, as is all these people that are currently been really nice to me on social media and putting it online. Now what you're going to do? Because I'd have told anybody anytime they asked. Mm-hmm. Nobody ever asked me about it. It was out 2 years ago and I was waiting for somebody to ask me about it. It was out a couple of years before that. I was waiting. It's not something you go screaming and shouting about around the paddock. In the same way, I do things in my bedroom you may or may not approve of. I do things in the toilet you may or may not approve of. They're facts. They're what I do. I don't tell you about it, but if you ask, I might. You know? And I was convicted. That's the final bit. That's what you were trying to get there. I was given 6 years. 6 years. I served 3 years. I was given 6 years because I wanted to serve 3. This is another important thing in what we're saying about the justice system now. And so the judge knows he wants you to serve 3, so he gives you 6. Now, the problem is that the law is still not caught up with itself, because if you're sentenced to more than 4 years, your conviction is never spent. It's permanently on your record. Now, that dates back in criminological, I can't say that, teething, in justice terms. There you go. I'll be finding another word.
I was going to say the word, but I don't know how to say it neither. So.
No, so...
Go on, have a go at it.
Judicial terms. In judicial terms, that's the word, isn't it? Judicial terms. That dates back probably hundreds of years when people were given a sentence and they did it all.
Yeah.
Whereas
so
now...
6 but meant to be 3 but went over the 4.
Means that my conviction will never be spent.
Right.
So arguably, I can't go to New Zealand, I can't go to Australia, I can't go to Canada, I can't go back to the US, even though I used to live there. Everywhere else seems fine. I'm going to China on Saturday. Good business in China, it's good.
So apart from not being able to go to certain countries and having to serve 3 years, were there any
what else? All of my UK assets were seized, and then to pay these 2 people back, and then in addition to that, I had to find, I think it was another £286,000 before I got out of prison, or they'd give me another 10 years, and I did. I paid it.
Sorry, to do why? To pay who? Sorry.
The 2 people, there's 2...
No, the further 280,000.
Because my personal bank account was about 200 grand at the time in the UK.
Right.
So this was to get to about the 500,000 or whatever it was that these 2 had lost.
Did prison change you?
I had more hair when I was going thin. It's one of those... I was going thin.
I've kept the look. There's that hard man bald.
No,
I was going... golden locks.
I didn't realise, you know what? I didn't realise how thin I was going on top. It still grows everywhere. It's just less of it, right? And it's better on the side. So you end up. It's quite easy to have your head clipped in prison. That's quite good. I mean, there was some funny bits.
Excuse my complete ignorance, but when you sent down for a financial type misdemeanor, do you go in with people that murder people?
Yes. To start with, yes.
Right.
So there are 4. We'll talk about racing and what's happening at some point. But
that's shit.
I don't mind.
This is really interesting.
There are broadly, as far as I'm aware, there are probably more, 4 categories of prisoner in the UK: A, B, C, and D. 99.9% of people, when they go into prison, start as what's called a B cat prisoner, which is your it's not B for basic, but that's what it is. If you're really violent and nasty and horrible, you're an A cat. That you can be sent from B to A, but some people will already be known to be violent, so they'll go straight to A. And then if you're a good boy or girl, depending on the prison that you're in, you get more privileges, and you can go to a C cat, which is, you're still completely enclosed, but you might get a single cell. Things like that, rather than having, should we go into sharing your pad with whoever? You know what I mean? It's called a pad when you're in prison. And then if you're really good and you're there for long enough, you go to a D cat, which is an open prison. So I did B, C and D. I did, I think, 2 months in a B cat.
You nearly had the full bingo. It's a shame you didn't do a little bit of A, you know what I mean? Just a couple of nights.
All I needed
You know what I mean? Just like
was
10
a
minutes.
violent bastard. I could have gone to an A, B, C, D and done my full alphabet, maybe.
This is maybe a bit of an odd question, but was there anything? Did anything good come out of your prison experience?
That's a good question, that.
So have you got any friends for life? And I know that's really weird, but,
Mate,
you know, like...
you're right. No, you're right. That's actually a really good question.
I'm going to give you some things of people that I met in prison. And right, okay, some things that are really positive. My nature is to help people. That's what my nature is. And I'd like to think people know that in the paddock. If they don't, then they don't know me, I think. If I can help somebody, I will. Whether it costs me money or not, you know. And I've always been like that. So... what I meant by that is I'll help people when it doesn't cost me money. I don't just give people money to help.
I was laughing because that means most people in the paddock, to be fair, if it costs you money.
Yeah, sometimes when you help people, it does cost you money. Sometimes when you help people, it doesn't cost you a penny.
Yeah.
You know, so it's not that, you know, it's just, that's my nature. So when you go into prison, and especially in the B and the C cat, and there's a lot of guys in there that can't read and write and things like that. So I used to do things like, I'd help them with the letters home. There was one guy, you know what? I don't actually know his real name. I don't think I ever did. His name was Fatter, right? Apparently he started as a great big fat guy, but then he became, I swear to God, one of the biggest people I've ever seen in my life, and as fit as, because it's a prison gym and all that, you know. But he couldn't read and write very well, and he would dictate his letters to his mother for me. I'd have to write them down in capitals for him, because then he would copy them. He couldn't actually do the words himself, but he could copy the pattern that I've done. So he would write the letter to his mum. So there were things like that you'd do, and you know, you'd help some people with, you know, they couldn't understand a lot of things. There's a lot of people that are disadvantaged in prison, that's for sure. And so that, you know, that can be quite satisfying to make a difference there. It can be satisfying to break up a fight and somebody's not getting shanked or something like that. You know, that sort of thing does go on, and it's, you know, your biggest fear when you're going, because I don't know what prison was like. I had no idea. The weird bit is I can genuinely say there was not a day I was in prison that I didn't laugh at some point, which is weird. There was really some odd bits as well, is that when the first prison I went into, you go into, you're probably going to have to edit this for fucking length, darling, I'm really sorry. We'll do another one. I'll do a prison episode if you want.
Behind the bars with Sorry.
I was sent to a prison that was not far away from where I was brought up, and not far away from where I had businesses in the past. And one of the businesses that we had as a family, we used to own a couple of nightclubs. So when I go to prison and there's ex-staff of mine that are now prison officers. So on my first day in prison, I knew they worked there already. I didn't know when you get sent to prison from court, you get thrown in a van and you're taken wherever they want. Doesn't matter, eh? So on my first day, you go through a thing called, the first couple of days, really, an induction where you're on a special wing where they sort of ease you into prison life. And you've been interviewed and they go through this, your education, you know, can you be useful to them and that sort of stuff, I suppose, or are you violent, or are you racist, or are you sexist, or whatever it is, so that they can properly segregate you if they need to. And I said at the time, right, before we go any further, I know at least 3 people here that used to work for me, okay? So if that's a problem, just send me somewhere else. I'm not, do you know what I mean? I don't want to get them to trouble because they know an inmate. You know what I mean? Yeah. And
There's
then
the cake wing. There's a file in it. And
yeah,
stuff like that.
you know. Well, the other weird bit is you see that when you first go to prison, you're allowed one visit that isn't pre-booked. That isn't. You have to start send out visiting orders. See, you won't know this. You might know somebody in prison. The stats will tell me that you do in a minute. If you know more than 30 people, you do. So where am I going? Yeah, so you get this visit where you don't need to have sent a visiting order out. It's so that you can organise some of your affairs. You know, can you? My checkbooks are there, my cards are there. Can you pay this? Can you pay that? Well, that's whatever it might be. And I'd had a guy that used to work for me had come in, and we'd done that. And then the following day, I have an officer come to the door and go, "You've got a visitor," and I'm like, that really confused me because I haven't even had the authority to send a visiting order out, and I'd had the one that you're allowed. And he's going, "I think you know who it is." I'm like, he's like, "I don't know what the fuck this is." Takes me off to some offices, and it was one of the ladies that used to work for me. So she gave me a big hug, going, "You all right?" And that's quite surreal, at that time. But you learn lots.
Before we move on to the next chapter of this whole story,
Okay.
It's like
Which chapter would that be?
Oh no! Obviously, I tell you what, this is like honestly, this has been absolutely like I think fantastic's the wrong word, but it's been a very in-depth story,
It's a chunk of my life. I can't change it.
How long did those 3 years feel?
Weirdly, I see you're going to make me go over a lot of it now. So I did a couple of months in BCAT. I then did, I think, about a year in the CCAT, and then I was moved to a DCAT, which is open prison. When you're in an open prison, you're allowed out of the prison once you've served at least half your sentence. So when I first got there, I hadn't done 18 months, so I couldn't go out yet. And that then becomes a little bit painful because you see guys going out on the weekend, going back to see the kids and that sort of stuff.
Right.
And you're waiting for your time to be able to do that. And then that your time eventually comes, and they sort of have to approve you and this sort of stuff. And then you can go and see. I say kids. I've only got one daughter, but everyone's going out to see the kids and their wives and their girlfriends and whatever. And that's to sort of then in the prison terms is to ease you back into normal life, I suppose. You're going back out. There's some guys there that had been in for 20, 30 years, and they were just starting to go out. I mean, mobile phones didn't exist, computers didn't exist, and their heads are fucked, But then through that, I said earlier, I laughed every day in prison, and you shouldn't, But if you don't make the most of it, you're going naturally, I think, going to a depressive state. You see a lot of people that are. But then I became the prison driver because I was an older guy. Most of the people in prison are 20 to 25, and they're in for glassing somebody or stabbing somebody or having a fight or burgling houses and all this sort of stuff. So I was the older guy. So in the open prison, prisoners would then be taken out to charity shops and things like this to work in the charity shop. So it eased them back into working life and dealing with people and being responsible and all this sort of stuff. So I drove a minibus and took them out because I had a licence that allowed me to drive a minibus and also a 7.5 tonner. Because none of these did now, because obviously the licensing, you'll know where I'm coming from, you might not. Have you got a 7.5 ton licence? No, you have.
Only because I took it.
Oh, right, okay.
I'm not that old, Alan.
He slipped that in, didn't he?
Wow, you're worse than her.
Well, I am
That's
that old.
getting cropped out.
I am that
No,
old.
it's not.
I haven't got the old grandfather licence where I can drive out.
I have been driving for 40 years. I passed my test 40 years ago. So, and I've got car, bike, Arctic, everything.
Sorry, Alan.
So, okay, I had grandfather rights. Anyway, there you go.
Brilliant.
You've just done it because that's like a running joke.
Oh,
between
okay.
us,
Fuck 'em. Yeah, but you're fitter than him. You're fitter than most of the paddock, and you know you are.
Yeah, Jesus.
So I was doing that for a while, and then you're allowed to go to work. You can go and actually get a job, which is really weird. So I've got some very, very good friends. So when I was allowed to go to work, I had a friend give me a job as a driver for him, and I had another friend so that I could get to work, gave me a car, and that was dropped off at the prison, and I would go driving. And I'd go to work in the morning, I'd come back, and then the prison, you'd get taxed by where you were working, and then the prison would take 40% of your pay as well on top of that, and you were left with a little bit. But it didn't matter because you were getting out, and you know.
Yeah.
There's something popped in my head then. What was? Oh yeah, there was a bit at one point when I was still a prison driver that the governor, I used to have to drive the governor down to the hospital because guys would be taken to hospital visits by prison officers, and she'd be checking on the prison officers. That was really quite a weird thing, to make sure that they weren't doing anything they shouldn't be doing. That's an odd one. But then there was an awful thing happened while I was in there. My daughter's school had a school skiing trip to Italy, I think it was, Alps anyway. And on the way back, the coach had a really bad crash. A few of the kids were injured, and one of the teachers was killed. And I found out about this on the news. And you're like, fuck, you think there's nothing you can do. I'm in prison, for fuck's sake. How do I get to my daughter? And I suppose I couldn't have been too bad a prisoner, because I went down to the governor's office, knocked on his door, said, come in. I said, this has just happened, my daughter, blah, blah, blah. And he gave me a prison car and told me to be back in 48 hours.
Wow.
So there are some good things, some good things that you remember from prison, because he didn't need to do that.
Mm-hmm. No.
He could have gone, I'm ever so sorry to hear that. He could have been really nice about it and not let me get to my daughter, you know?
Yeah.
There's good in prison as well. From the officers and people. You'd be amazing how many people were actually good people in prison.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have been there.
Yeah. So you've had your conviction, you've done your time.
Done my time, got out of prison, free man.
And then...
I think I had 34 quid in the UK when I came out of prison.
Really?
Seriously, yeah.
You came out
in the UK.
That's it, to your name, 34 quid.
In the UK. I'd been working abroad for 10, 15 years. Yeah.
So, the last steps this company's taken is their last steps of due diligence, and it's cropped up.
Well, here's the thing that annoys me with it, is that if I wanted to do due diligence for something like that, I'd do it quick.
Yeah.
I wouldn't wait 4 months.
No.
I wouldn't wait for... I mean, April the 1st, the fourth invoice was due to be produced and technically paid.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, all these people on Facebook can fucking find it in 5 minutes. So can anybody else. Search for Alan Gardner on Google, and there I am. You know, it's not fucking hard. So that... I didn't think it could possibly be that. Because I thought everybody knew.
Well, actually, what my original question was going to be... No, it's fine. You've kind of answered it, but has there been instances between that happening and previously where it's cropped up never in business before? So it's this. So you kind of weren't expecting it because...
No.
Right.
No. I got out of prison 13 years ago.
Right.
I've worked fucking hard for 13 years. I pay a lot of tax. I employ people. I create work. I create jobs. I'm not trying. You see, I could say I don't want to big myself up, but I mean I do work fucking hard. You know, people that know me will tell you I work 7 days a week. I was up at 5 o'clock this morning. What time did you message me first thing today?
6:30 or something like that.
How long did it take to answer?
Hey, you were straight
right
there.
I'm up and working, right? I got a 4. This is an unusual day, but I've added 8 hours of driving into my day to be here and back. I'm not shy where I graft and graft and graft. But I had a really... Okay. No, you got to let me do this bit. You'll like this bit. When we set up OMG Racing, just before we set up OMG Racing, I was on holiday in Japan. And I was in Kyoto. And I had a friend of mine organised... I'm smiling because of who the friend is. He's passed now. He's dead now, unfortunately. But he was an extremely influential man. And he set up... There's a temple. I can't remember the name of the temple, but it's the oldest temple, Buddhist temple in Japan. It was built in 1215, I think it was. It's just over 810 years old. And it's open to the public from midday till about 5 o'clock or something like that. But he organised that I could have a private tour of this temple. So I don't like people. Most people know that I don't like people. I don't like crowds. I don't wander around the paddock trying to... I don't like... I'm not comfortable with it. It's not my... I live with fields around me, preferably. I like being in the middle of nowhere. So he'd organised that I was going to have this private viewing. So myself and my partner at the time have turned up at 10 o'clock. We're going to have 2 hours with a random monk. Okay. The random monk is poorly this morning. Not this morning. This morning in question.
Hey, you've done well to get here in 8 hours. You know what I mean? Jeez,
I'll keep in touch. I'll keep in touch. So I end up with a guy called Unrinin, who is the most senior Buddhist monk in Japan, because he's the only guy left that can stand him. So he comes, and he is the coolest, most serene, most peaceful, most knowledgeable person I've ever met in my life. And I'm meant to have him for 2 hours. And he comes with another guy that's going to do translation for us. So he's speaking Japanese. This guy tells me what it is, asking me questions, and I go back. And after about an hour and a half, he waves this guy away and then starts speaking to me in perfect English. Because I assume that he's decided I'm okay. Mm-hmm. The questions I was asking are not because he thinks somebody's paid. I didn't pay for it. A friend organised it, but he must have a thing where somebody that's just paid to come round and he's just entertaining them. He's going through the motions. But obviously my questions must have been correct for him as to what's this, what's that, what's that, you know. That he's able to talk to me in English. And it's impeccable English. I mean, I don't mean like, we all have this thing about, I mean, I can't speak, I'm a typical Englishman, I don't speak foreign languages, you know, you have a few words, I can eat and drink in a lot of countries, but nothing more. But it's impeccable, you know. And I end up, I'm with him for 5 hours. It's now open to the public and he's walking through and everything's passing for him. He's like a god. It's like, it's unreal. Unrinning his name. I've got his business card. It's in my wallet in my car now.
I've seen that.
I've carried it from the day I met him until now. He taught me. I can't
believe monks have business cards.
Nor can
cool,
I.
isn't it, mate?
That's amazing.
And his title is Buddha's Disciple.
That's
honestly,
a title, isn't it?
You've seen it, haven't you? I've
yeah,
shown
no,
you.
like,
because I've told you this story. Because it's like this not changed my life. I've always been the sort of person that it's my nature to help. It's my, you know, it's I stopped growing when I was 12 years old, and I'm quite a big guy. So when I was 12 and my friends were being bullied, you stop your friends being bullied. So it naturally goes into you that this is you look after people that, you know, need it, or, you know. But then he took me to a stage further in when we were talking and things like that, and even just things like, you know, because I'm having conversations with him about, you know, he's talking about money, and you know, you say something and he's going, no, you can give me your money, I'll have your money, I love money. And you think he's a monk. And he said, but money's a tool. Money is only a tool. It doesn't having money means nothing until you do something with it. It's the same as an axe. You're a lumberjack. Do you want to be a lumberjack, or do you want to be a, what is it?
Arborist.
No, that anyone can be a lumberjack, sir.
Well,
I've got the top. I've got the top.
You're a lumberjack.
I'm a lumberjack today.
So,
yeah.
You're a tree surgeon, right? But just having an axe, if I had an axe laying here now, it's useless unless I need to chop a tree down. When I need to chop a tree down, this is vital. So money's only useful when you've got, it's only good even when you've got a use for it and you apply that use, you know? So you need to do something. Having it sat in the bank is fucking wasteful. It's useless. And he taught me a lot more of these sort of things. And he was it sort of cemented the way my mind works. And I've since been in the opinion, I live quite well. I do earn quite well, you know, more than a lot. But my attitude is I have my house, I have a roof over my head, I'm warm. I'm extremely fortunate in that I don't like the electric bill coming. I don't like it. Nobody does, because you've got to pay money for it. But it doesn't hurt me. Right? I don't worry when it comes, but I still don't like it. So I'm not being a dick here, I don't think. But I live okay. I've got modes of transport. I have a house. I'm warm, and I eat when I want to eat. I don't go hungry at any point unless I'm trying to lose weight, which is constant at the minute because I'm a fat bastard. And everything else for the last 7 years that I've earned has gone into that paddock.
Are you saying in a roundabout way that the reasoning behind not being afraid to, shall we say, spunk money on a race team
is because
I
know I can earn it.
Right, okay.
Which is a cocky thing. But you know how fast you can lap at Donington. You know what you can do.
Yeah.
And you're pissed off if it doesn't. If you're half a second off, you're pissed off because you know what you can do.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not good at that. but I can earn money.
Right.
I'm good at that.
I'm not good at that.
But I don't need it. I've got what I need. So I end up spending what I've got on things that I personally enjoy. And I mean, I don't need to. I don't need to employ so many people for the team, you know, or I haven't needed to.
And to be blunt, you're spending on your money for other people's enjoyment as well.
Yeah, but
no,
I mean,
not for that reason.
You see, I'm not particularly a philanthropist and things like that. I don't, you know, I do my charity bits. You know, we do the charity auctions. We try and raise as much as we can. We donate what we can. Every round that we've ever been at, there's been at least 4 people in there that have been a charity auction. And they go, can you do this? Yeah, do that, and you go and raffle them off, and we do. You know, so you do as much as you can. But I'm not being like, oh God, look at me, because that makes it sound like a fucking am, and I'm not. Yeah. You know, if I can't afford something, you don't have it. If I can, I don't. If I don't need it, then I don't need it.
Can I just yeah, you go for it. You go for it.
I just want to. I don't know how you're going to take this question, but just
you can ask me anything you want. Do not edit this, Grace. Ask it.
No, it's fine. So. Obviously, you've invested a huge amount because you've already mentioned about how the finances are in the team,
yes,
and how it's funded.
Yep.
This year, you've had a big sponsor potentially come on board, and it's fallen through.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like you've almost certainly got the means and have self-funded in the past.
I still self-fund now. The sponsor was my operating budget, not the bikes, not the parts, not the properties, not the trucks, not the anything like that. It's the operating budget.
So in previous years, is it potentially possible that you could have still been able to run without a sponsor? And if so, what's the big difference this year?
So you're saying, have you gone too big?
Not necessarily have you gone too big. Almost have you decided I've done enough of putting much of my own into, which is absolutely fine, because I think anyone that puts money in is fantastic.
Yes and no.
You know what I mean?
Okay, the world is changing at the minute. Okay, slight political bit. Since the Labour government have got in, my own core business is down about 20% because my customers haven't got confidence in spending the money. We've just got all these tariffs coming now. I actually think they're reasonably positive for us at the moment. I mean, currently we were at 10% going into the US, and Europe were at 20. They've all come down to 10 now this morning. It's the 10th day, isn't it? April the 10th, so that people know when we're talking about. You know, Trump has done 125% import tariffs from China into him. China have now gone back with 84, I think it is. But I'm out in China doing some business this weekend. And him last week, my position when I go to China this weekend was a lot stronger than it is today because he brought Europe back down to 10. So there's a lot of positives for some things that I'm involved in. I'm involved in numerous businesses. I've had people moaning on social media about my business is failing. I've got to do that now because it's in my head. I'm sorry. Right. The businesses failing that they will be relating to have all been linked to the race team as potential sponsors. So there's Rich Energy. We got involved with Rich Energy. They'd already got a little bit of hassle around them. I will still not be disparaging about the product is fantastic. Difficult to get, I concede, at the moment. It should be there. It's great. It's better than its competitor. I won't slag them off in case they want to give me money for sponsorship. I'm being honest. But when that deal was done, we launched that company on March the 20th, which was the same day as the first lockdown. 4 hours later, after we started the company, the country went into lockdown. Nice. So we're trying to negotiate with people like Tesco's and Asda and blah, blah, blah to stock this product. And they're telling us we're delisting items. So Tesco's, as an example, may have 25,000 items listed on their portfolio. They were trying to get it down to 10 or 15,000 because they were gearing up to home deliver everything. So the fewer number of items that somebody had, the better and more efficient they could be. So they wouldn't take on a new item. So we run a couple of years, basically that, and it didn't work for us. Oops, shit happens. Lammy Vape, which was the next one, that was working really well. We were in all WH Smiths, we were in every UK airport, we were in every UK train station, and then disposable vapes were made illegal. I'm sorry, the business failed. The product's now illegal. We had to stop. Grilla, who was our sponsor last year, they are growing quite a bit, I think, in the US at the moment. They deal with
The
a
first
lot.
two you were involved in, but Grilly you weren't.
Grill are own part of.
Okay.
When I negotiate, I'm okay. If I'm negotiating something and somebody wants something out of us, which is advertising medium,
You want a piece of that pie.
I try to. Doesn't always work. Okay. But if I can get a piece, if what we do for them makes them stronger and I can get a piece of it, then that allows me to fund racing. So it gives us longevity and more longevity. If I can get 1%, 2%, 5%, whatever it is, I'm going to get it if I can. That's what I do. I can make money. I'm all right at that. No good with these particularly. Not mechanically. Anyway. We all have a talent. No, if I can get a piece of the pie, I'm having a piece of the pie.
Yeah.
You know, I got involved at one point. There was an electric motocross championship, the E Explorer. I own part of that. I still own part of that. I don't know what's going to happen with it. It's become problematic, but they weren't my sponsor. For all the people that are moaning at anything I've been involved in, but I'm involved in about a dozen other businesses. Yeah. Not all in the UK, not all limited in the UK anyway. And some I'm not a director of, some I am, and some will work and some won't. Your good lady, Lauren. Every good lady before that, mate, was a failure. And now you found the one. Right? We all have failures in our life until we find what works. That's life. And if you're in business, you're going to fail.
Uh-huh.
And if you're not prepared to fail, well, I'm sorry, you shouldn't be doing it. Go and get a job. You know? Where did we get onto that? Sorry, I'm sort of...
No, we're
I
talking...
steamrolled over you there a little bit.
Basically, it was the question I started with. It was...
My business is harder at the moment because of the current political and economic climate that's on a global basis. I buy machinery in from Europe. Some of that machinery is manufactured, no doubt, in China. So there's all sorts of things, and if it's manufactured in the there's just shit going on in the economy at the minute that is affecting things. I haven't personally got as much free money as I normally have.
The thing is, in BSB, certainly at the moment, I think we've got a real... we've got a lot of teams that are certainly part and the majority is self-funded to a high level. So rationally speaking, it's such an... I'm always appreciative to anyone that gets involved in the sport because it's got to help. And even though I'm so appreciative of it, it's really hard to understand why someone would do it. Would do that. So what do you get out of it?
Help.
Oh, I get...
And was it something that Monk helped you learn? Does it give you a peace or a happiness or something?
It's quite weird. They'll probably tell you if you speak to the Holly and things like that. I mean, when we won the championship with Kyle at the end of last year, I think it was the championship. No, hold on, it might not have been that race. It wasn't. It was Thruxton. Do you remember the sort of 5-way finish at Thruxton? Yeah. Quite memorable, wasn't it? It was a good race. Holly has one of these Apple watches. You'll have one because you're all fit and things. And I think her heart rate went up to sort of 170, 180. Like just watching on she's doing the board.
And by the way, Holly's resting heart rate is around about 20. She's the coolest woman in the world. So that's as far as a reference point.
My heart rate doesn't change. I'm really quite weird.
Do you feel it though, even if your heart rate doesn't change?
No,
so you don't.
I don't think I feel what you think.
Okay.
I don't.
No. Yeah. So going back to Christian's question,
I get immense pleasure from helping people do their best. I don't know. See, we can do our best and lose a race, and that's just as enjoyable as winning a race.
I do get that. I completely get that.
We've over the years, I've made sure if there's another team that's on the same manufacturer as us and they've got a problem, we've helped them. We've helped them with repairs. We've given them parts on it. Because if I beat you when you're weak, I haven't beaten you. There's no pleasure in that. We've taken advantage. I don't want to do that. I want to beat you at your strongest because then I'll fucking beat you. We said something, we were chatting outside about something that, what did we say? Oh yeah. our OMG's first ever win, right? I don't count it. And I've said this on there before, haven't I? Josh Elliott won the race. Josh Elliott absolutely counts it. And the record books say that OMG Racing, Josh Elliott, came P1, race 1, Silverstone 2019. But we got it because of a penalty. We didn't cross the line first. That's not... No. We got it because of a weakness. Somebody had a little bit... It was adjudged to have had a little bit of red mist and done something they shouldn't have, or whatever it was, and was penalised for it to the degree that they ended up being behind us. That's not a win for me. We beat them when they're weak. Something's gone wrong. And, you know, it's not the same.
Yeah.
So I try and make sure that all our guys have always had the best equipment. So there's no, it's because of that. You know? The best bikes, the best tools, the best whatever. Because then you can be your best.
Yeah.
If you're let down by your equipment, you can't. And we know this about it. There's so many riders that we see through every levels in the paddock and all around the world. Where it's like, he shouldn't be on that, he shouldn't be on that, she shouldn't be on that, she should be doing this, or, you know, they should be doing more on that bike. It's the other way as well. Some people get on a ride that you think, well, how the fuck have you got that? You ain't good enough, you know? I like seeing people at the best. And, you know.
So...
Sad, isn't I?
No, not at all. No, it's actually refreshing. It's refreshing to hear that.
So this sponsor's, it's gone. You've got 40-odd staff in a race team, so a lot of people just think about riders, but it's a massive setup that you've got.
It's all of them, yeah. Everybody.
And they're all as important.
They are.
You've got the bad news.
Got the bad news.
And now
told everybody else the bad news.
Yeah, you've got to face the music. What happened from there on, and what is the...
I'll tell you the way we did it. I spoke to Paul, Paul Cullen, who's our team principal, and I told him, I can't do it. I haven't got the money. We can't do it. Which is a horrible thing. I've never had to say it to him before.
And bear in mind, you've already been pre-season testing with the guys, as in you do like a winter, pre-season sort of like a...
Well, that is more of a blowout, but I mean...
But you know what I mean?
You know, yeah. So, and
you're the only team that's actually put wheels on track already.
That was still last year, though.
Yeah.
Because we're not allowed to this year.
No, but you know what I mean. You're right, but you know what I mean.
We stick to the book. We stick to the rules.
Yeah. I wasn't trying to catch you out.
No, you couldn't because we didn't do anything wrong. It's.
I mean, it's more of a shock because that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Because you're so far down the line.
Well, I mean, the hotels still had to be paid for. We couldn't cancel them. The flights we couldn't cancel. This and that, the other. The things that we did manage to obviously not have to buy are 25 grand of tyres and 5 grand of fuel and car hires and food, and you know, we got out of some things. But we did it so that it was like, how the fuck do I tell people? Who did you tell first? Who did you tell first? Well, is there a pecking order? Is there a list of seniority? And I'm like, well, there is no seniority. It's everybody needs to know. But there are three different sorts of people affected, and they were told in different ways, but at the same time. So, and it wasn't the week way out because I was waiting for the calls to come in. I messaged all of my 5 riders in both of my teams at exactly the same time with exactly the same message. You got one of them, didn't you?
Yeah, well, it was in a separate group chat. So
I set up a new group chat with just them in it.
Just the 5 riders, yeah.
And said, this is what's happening now. Right? And I'm really, really sorry. You can read it out at some point if you want. I don't mind it being public. But I said to them, I mean, some people will argue, well, you got to speak to Carl first because he's the champion. Some people will argue, speak to Joe first because he's the youngest, he might need a cuddle. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But the thing that would happen is, if I spoke to Carl or anybody first, by the time I was speaking to the second person, the other 3 will now know, but it won't be quite what I said. Mm-hmm. So I put a message out saying, this is what's happening. Call me anytime you want, as in even now. If I don't answer, it's because somebody's beat you to the call, and I'm on that call.
I personally think that was
right
the best way to do it.
The second I sent that, Paul was talking to the guys in the workshop, and we were contacting the hospitality people. So everybody knew at the same time. So there was no favouritism. There was no, oh my God, have you heard? We're all fucked. You know what I mean? Talk to us. I can't answer 5 calls at once, but and I told you why. You know, I wouldn't. you know, if I didn't answer your call, I haven't shirked a call or a meeting or a conversation.
Okay, I'm going to tell you how it went from my perspective quickly. Because when I spoke to you, at that
Should I have a
point,
look and see when you fucking messaged me how long it took you?
seconds. In fact,
it? I don't know.
I rang it straight away,
Okay.
like straight away. And my first initial joke was, Alan, I know you've got a sense of humour.
It
Is
wasn't
this
like
actually a
before.
joke?
I wish it fucking had been.
No, you know what I mean? On the first, and I was like, is this, like, you know, Alan, is this a joke? He goes, no. But the one thing I will, like, I have to tell everyone was, you were broken. You know, after all this whole story about, you know, where you were, this is yours. You know what I mean? It's a team. And you were far from a slobbering mess, far from it, or anything in that regard. But you weren't the positive Alan we knew. It hit you hard.
that.
It hit you hard.
A little bit.
Of course it did. And then
I'm
you
not
could
good
hear
at
that.
failing.
No.
Not good at it. So, but I mean, you know. So then I have to. Okay, what can we do? Okay, the things I can do is what can I do for each individual rider, no matter, even if they're in the same part of the team. Oh, I've got to explain to some people. People have been moaning on Facebook and Instagram is, why is the loss of sponsor for OMG affected WTF? Okay. They're the same fucking team.
It's all you.
I can say it now, right? When we took on the official Yamaha deal, the officially supported by Yamaha deal, Yamaha don't want to be involved in road racing. I think everybody in the sport knows that. So they said OMG can't go road racing and OMG can't use Yamaha. Well, at that point, I had James Hillier as one of my riders. And I wasn't prepared to go, I had an easy get out, didn't I? I could save a lot of money and go, James, I've just got this gig and, you know, blah, 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 blah. No. So I went out and bought Hondas and we changed the name of the team. I bought another trailer and we liveried it up. And so we became WTF. I wonder what it means and why. But, so that's why. But sponsorship into one part of what we do, they're not. We don't have a bank account for WTF. It's the same pot. Everything what I get in gets spent across the board. You know. So if we fail, then we fail everywhere, which is the unfortunate bit. So then I go to who can help everybody. Even I've got 3 guys in BSB, 2 guys at the TT, but they all have individual differences in what I could potentially do that will help them. Excuse me. So I'll start with the one that sat opposite me. Am I allowed to say, you don't mind me saying what we're doing?
Go for it.
Okay. So I've given Dom a bike. I'm trying to sort you a motorhome at the minute because you and Laura are going to sleep in the back of your van. And I said, it's not good enough. So
Only 'cause
I've got
he
to
likes
find
Lauren.
you. I've got to.
Only because he likes
It's not
Lauren.
fair. You can sleep in the van if you want. I don't know if I'm doing anything else for you.
No, that's amazing. What you're doing is amazing.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, like...
So he's not allowed to have the bike yet because we're finishing it and making sure it's absolutely perfect, ready to go down Braille. If he's ready to go on a track day or onto a race circuit, worlds apart. So it was ready on the first to have been, as it was, being loaded into the truck as you dropped your bag down to go to Spain with us. But it's not strong enough. There are bits on a TT bike that you don't have on BSB. We have stronger brackets for things like, even just the fairings, we have stronger brackets. We have holes drilled in the fairings to drop some wind resistance because you're doing 210 miles an hour and you don't do that on a circuit. You know, there are different conditions. And you were told you can't have it until we're happy with it, weren't you?
That's right.
So the guys are in making sure his bike is ready before he's allowed to have it. And I said even today, if there's more, and I don't know what I can do, something might happen tomorrow, something might happen next week. If there's more I can do, I'll do it. I'm fine at home. I'm okay, Jack, whatever. But I am fine at home. You know, I don't have a spare £80,000 a month wages, which is what my wage bill is at OMG. I don't have £20,000 around on tyres at the minute, you know. So, and that's what was fucked by it. We have, I think, £3 million of assets. The keyboard warriors say we've got 900 grand, but the 900 grand, they're different assets. Go into the accounts properly, boys and girls. There's £1 million of race bikes floating around. I've got 5 race trailers. I've got 2 Dakar trucks. We've got motorhomes. There's loads of assets, but they don't buy fucking tyres. and that's the
No.
problem. So we'll stick on the WTF side. So James Hillier, I've asked him if it's okay that I say this, but James is having 2 bikes at the moment. He's having a fifth wheel taken over for him because he needed the accommodation because he's got his wife and 3 kids going. What else have I done for James? He's borrowing a van off me. We've done stuff that he needs so we can do the TT this year. Going further on that, Joe Talbot is arguably from the BSB side the hardest one for me to do some work with, and that's nothing against Joe. He's the hardest one because he hasn't got a history riding a superbike. So when I speak to people, and I have spoken to other team bosses about can something be done for Joe, can blah, 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 blah. It's difficult. It's difficult. Had he done a year had he done what Ryan did for us in his first year with us and gone, fucking hell, no, hold on, he's not like we thought he was, he's done this, he'd have been snapped up. And he deserves to be snapped up. So I haven't been able to place him in a superbike team. I had, Joe maybe doesn't know this, so Joe, I didn't offer you this. Well, actually one of these, but I had people talking about putting him on a stock bike, but from what he was on last year stock-wise, the offers that were made, and I won't name who it was because of what they said about their own bike, said it would be a step down, right? So it's not fair. So I'm like, what the fuck do I do? So as it stands at the minute, and I only got confirmation on my way up here, is that he's accepting what I'm offering him. He's wanted me by confirmation. I'm giving him a Honda Super Sport bike. I'm going to pay his crew chief. I'm going to pay his mechanic. I'm going to give him the spares bin, the spare wheels, the blah, 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 blah. But he's got to run himself because I can't do more than that at the minute. That's probably about 100 grand's worth, I would guess. Going on from that, I've been in discussions with Stuart Higgs. And I've got to say, Stuart Higgs has been an enormous help, has been ridiculously supportive, and I can't thank him enough for what he's been doing through this period. And I'll probably thank him again during this podcast in a bit because I'm going off Stuart in a minute to go on to other things, to go on to the riders. But because of discussions through this have been with Stuart and with Yamaha and with when this is going out next week, maybe. So Brad Ray is riding for Steve Rogers Raceways. He's coming back to the paddock. How do I know this? Steve was in my workshop today picking up Brad Ray's bike that we built for him and spare engines and parts and bits and stuff and things and whatever. Steve then spoke to me. I was at my offices in Stratford, whereas our workshops are in Cannock. Steve then called me to thank me, which was quite sweet. As I explained to Steve Rogers, I felt obligated that Brad had to be right. So the only place they could get anything that would be right for Brad is from me.
Yeah.
So they got it. Steve was thanking me, and I asked him how he was doing for things like trucks. I'm in a very fortunate position. I own 5 race trucks because we've gone bust, obviously.
Which you haven't, by the way. Let me just
fairly certain I haven't. There's a very difference between going bust and losing your operating budget. I'm not going to go over it again and bore the fuck out of people, but Jesus
just in case someone's tuned in at the wrong time there. You know what I mean?
So I was speaking to Steve, and literally while I was on the way to you tonight, and he thanked me, and I said, there's no need to thank me. If there was anything I could do for Brad, I would do and have done as much as I can. And then I asked him what he was doing with his transport. He said, I can't at the minute, we have to do in vans and that, so I'm going to have delivered to him on loan one of my race trailers that is completely unbranded, plain white, so he doesn't have to display anything to do with me on it. Steve will see it anyway, and that I hope I will get to him on Monday, so he's got time to get it sorted. Tuesday might be latest. We've got to get it to Fleetwood. He hasn't got a tractor unit at the minute. I offered him one, but he think he's got somebody, so that's as much as I could do for Brad at the moment. And I think it's fitting that he's on a bike that we prepared for him. I'm quite happy about that in my smug way. Kyle. Kyle. What do we do with Kyle? So I and OMG are going to run Kyle in the championship. And yesterday I signed a new sponsor that is backing us in the championship. They contacted me saying, what do you need to run? I told them. They said, fine. And 26 hours after first contact, we had a signed contract.
Holy shit.
They have been, I'm going to tell you who they are blatantly in a minute. These guys are into bikes, into cars. The guy races himself in club racing. He's no limits club racing, so it was a good level. I think he may have acquired himself a new coach. So whoever races against him, I'm really sorry that Kyle may well be looking after him. So the company on nitrous competitions, they do competitions for where you win cars, bikes, blah, 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 blah. They have over 100,000 winners so far. They've given out over £100 million worth of prizes. They have about 500,000 followers on Facebook. And they've saved us. So Kyle is staying with us. We are running. Our bike will be red and black.
Right.
And
have you got that on your phone?
Yeah.
You're going to have to show us. You're going to have to show us.
I'm going to have to show you. Kyle will be rolling out of... I can't get my truck changed to red and black by Thursday next week, ready for the Donington test. So, very nicely, Nitrous Competitions, he's lending me his truck that he's already liveried for them, so we can do that while we wait for the people to come in and livery our truck.
Have you got any Yamaha support? Or is it gone?
We don't have any Yamaha support.
Does anyone have the Yamaha support? Has it moved across?
I've been.
And obviously, congratulations, by the way, that you're back in the paddock. Jesus, sorry, straight into the
What was it I said? Nitrous Competitions. Please follow them on Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram and whatever you use, because Kyle is buzzing over the mood. He may have been in the mood. He's over the mood. He's buzzing. He's kept his complete crew. He's kept everything. Everything is perfect. It will all be about him, and it's thanks to them, because without them, I'd still I wouldn't have had the operating budget. So I hope people win lots of things with them.
So that's brilliant.
That'll be rolling out at Donington Park for Kyle to start his first official test for this year on Friday the 18th, is it, of this month? Yeah. Friday the 18th of April.
Getting a nod from Grace in the corner here.
Absolutely fantastic. And I'm going to just go briefly back to Stuart Higgs if I can, because I know that this won't go out prior to this weekend. So I know that Stuart is in Qatar this weekend at the MotoGP, and he's going to announce our new sponsor, and that Kyle is staying with us, and that Kyle will be competing or testing at Donington next week. And thank you, Stuart, because you've helped enormously. And if you need anything, let me know. Thank you.
I mean, that's incredible news, the fact that you're staying in the championship, because, well, it's just amazing. You're the champions. You're the reigning champions. Kyle's the reigning champion.
He deserved to still be there. And I was a little disappointed. It's probably the mildest I can say, that within 2 minutes of the news going out, there wasn't a deal for Kyle.
Yeah.
Where there should have been a deal, or there should have been a deal that was worthy of him.
Yeah.
And if I'm brutally honest, that with all the shit I've been getting, and I'll give you some of the shit in a minute, you'll be amazed at some of the shit I've got. It made me more angry that Stuart was bending over backwards to help. This is the point. This is why I'm thanking Stuart as much as I am. Because he genuinely has bent over backwards to help us and was doing all sorts. He hasn't helped us get this, but his sponsor came out of the blue. I mean, literally like a fucking saviour. I got an email saying, how much you need? And you're like, here we go. I contact him. I sent an email back. He's phoned. We have a chat. He's on holiday skiing He's still on fucking holiday skiing now, right? He gave me an answer within 3 hours after speaking to his business partner, and we had a signed contract within 26 hours of our first contact. So if you do one of his competitions, trust me, you'll get your fucking prize quick. These guys work. Do you know what I mean? They make a decision, it's done. End of. I'm so impressed with the way, the ease and the I've never dealt with a sponsor like it. I mean, you know yourself, they don't happen like that, you know. And for everybody listening, before you do anything, okay, 3 minutes into my phone call with him, I went, "Hi, I have a criminal conviction. Is that a problem for you?" To which he went,
Did you actually?
"Yeah, of course I fucking did. I've just lost a sponsor for it. What's the point in talking to somebody if that's going to come up again? And what's going around the paddock?" Yeah, within 3 minutes, he went, "It's not a problem." I told you earlier that I spoke to people at the Ministry of Justice earlier this week. I'm going to give you some stats just to put things into perspective for people. So if we're at Donington next week, everyone's at Donington next week. Weirdly, I'm not going to be there. And I'm not going to be there for a very specific reason, in that I don't want to have people having a go. You can have a go at me as much as you want. If that's what you want, everybody, have a go at me. But I'm not having you take fucking Kyle's mind off it. So Kyle will be there on his own, not on his own, will be with everybody but me, okay? Because that boy deserves to defend his title and defend it well and win it again. And I'm not going to get in his way. I was going somewhere with this then. Where was I going? Stats. Thank you, Grace. You see,
That's why she's
somebody
in charge.
sensible in the room. So if we were actually racing at Donington rather than testing, we maybe would have 50,000 people there, yeah? Okay. How many of those would have a criminal conviction, do you think? Now this would be,
20.
bearing in mind, crowd, officials, teams, there's 50,000 people there. How many would have a criminal conviction through a court of law?
Not including driving offences.
No criminal conviction, not driving offence, criminal conviction through a court of law.
About 3%.
3%, okay. So that would be 1,700. 1,500, okay. What do you think?
7,000 people.
17,000 people. 33% of the male population have a criminal court conviction in this country. 26% if you include women. So women are a little bit better than we are, okay? Of those...
That's because they do that. Grace,
say,
by the way, Grace just did the whole...
Yeah.
I'm trying to describe that to audio listeners.
Of those 50,
she just did a girl thing.
Yeah. As sexist as you come.
Hi, guys.
Of those 50,000, 2,000 would have been to prison. So they're obviously, but 2,000 would have been in prison. So statistically, 1 in 3 men have been convicted. And this is the thing with the Ministry of Justice. They don't weirdly, can you believe, they don't have a figure for the percentage of the population that have been to prison. Like, you're the Ministry of Justice. How do you not have a figure for that? Google it if you want. If you don't believe me, track on. And I find it amazing, but their best estimate is that a little over 10% of those with convictions would have been to prison. That means that if you know 30 people, you know on average, you'll know somebody that's been to prison. If you know 3 people, or 2 other people, if you haven't been convicted of something, one of them's been to prison. One of them's been convicted. It's not the end of the world, you know. I was convicted of something that I can hand on heart and genuinely say I didn't do. Justice is a weird thing because it's not justice. It's the law and how it can be played. I was in prison at one point with a guy that was in for mortgage fraud. He got 2 years for mortgage fraud. Really nice Asian guy, got a wife and 3 kids. 2 of his kids were older. They were still living in the same house and they were still paying the same fucking mortgage. But he went to prison for mortgage fraud. There's justice for you. So it's an odd world. And I know so much more now about it, but I was so naive when I ended up, because I hadn't done anything. I hadn't had brushes with the law. I didn't do anything wrong. And you think that you trust it. And I don't think you always can, because you can get mixed up in it and you're fucked.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing. But if you think I did it, and you're more than welcome, anybody listening to think I did it, I don't care, really. But if you do, you've then got a choice of whether I've changed or I'm still the same. If you think that nobody can change, if you went speeding a year ago, does that mean you speed every day and you should be convicted every day? No, people change, right? I didn't do it. I don't care what you think. I nearly swore.
You can.
No,
You can do what you want on this
there was
one.
a different sort of swearing then, though. That was going to be, yeah. So everybody knows now. It's out in public. It's been out in public a few times, but nobody spoke to me about it. 2 people spoke to me about it. Couldn't be asked to publish it. So,
I mean, I've sat here and found it quite amazing listening to the whole story, I've got to admit. And just to go back on what you've just gone through, what you're doing in order to help all the riders, I've got to admit, we've always had a really good relationship, myself and you.
Yep.
We chat quite a lot, always at the races. At the times when I've practically begged you to put me on a bike, to be fair. So we've had those sort of chats
we
as
have.
well. But
I couldn't afford you when you first asked. It's true.
But I must admit, so when I came in tonight, I thought, right, can't give him an easy ride because that's not fair on the listeners.
You can ask me anything you want.
And yeah, I'm surprised how open and honest you've been. But I think one thing that's really important is, from the outside looking in, as a rider, you protect your own. And I was thinking, they've been dropped in the shit at the last
They
moment.
were dropped in the shit.
And
I had no choice.
But to hear your last comments in the last 10 minutes is really admirable. And I think that deserves all the plaudits you can possibly get. As much as it's been a really difficult situation,
I'm not after plaudits.
Yeah.
I just want all of them to do well.
Yeah, yes, it's impressive.
Including you, weirdly enough.
So, let's go on a little bit about not necessarily the specifics of that, but we've touched on it before about how BSB is going a lot in the owner-funded route.
It's expensive.
Why have we not got the likes of Samsung like in the past, Airwaves?
I think
the more
the Coca-Colas, why can't we?
The brands that we see every day.
A lot of it is.
Where are we going wrong in motorcycle sport, or how can we drive those kind of sponsors?
I know that when the switch from Eurosport to TNT was announced recently, a lot of people were against it. And if I'm brutally honest, I was against it first because it was going
30 quid a month.
Behind, potentially 30. There are ways around it because Simon, the lad who works for me, has got a contract with, opened a new contract with EE. You can send us some money if you want. Whereby he got a 55-inch TV for £17 a month for 2 years and got TNT free. Mm-hmm. So not only was it nearly half the price of the 30 quid, he got a free TV out of it as well. So there are deals to be there. But
just to touch on this TNT thing, because I have it through my Virgin Media or whatever I've got, so it's not extra. But still, let's say it's 30 quid a month or whatever it is. Yes, to some people that's quite a lot. It is a lot.
It is a lot.
It's 360 quid a year, whatever it is.
Yep.
However, that is not even the price of a round of drinks for 6 people.
Agreed.
And you get MotoGP, BSB, World Superbike, cycling if you're into it.
I look at it from two sides because I would love more people to be able to watch racing and for it to be free charge. I mean the Holy Grail would be on BBC One, wouldn't it? I mean that's it. There's no adverts, there's no all this sort of stuff. It's never going to happen, obviously. But a sponsor will look at it a different way to I look at it. So when it was first announced, I was like, we're going to lose all these people. We're going to lose, that. One of the things I tell people that don't know what we do, what the paddock actually does, one of the things I tell people all the time is that, there's so many split families in the world now. My daughter comes from a split family. She has a mum and dad that still get on quite well, but we haven't lived together since she's been alive, for God's sake. But so many people come from split families, so you end up with dads and they've got 2 kids and da. Well, they can go to BSB for a day for about 25 quid for a single day. Yeah. His 2 kids go free if they're 13 or under, and they get 8 hours of entertainment. Mm-hmm. That's fucking priceless. Try and go to one of these theme parks and that, and it's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds, and they're bored and they're queuing up. And so on that side of it is fantastic. And I want as many people to be able to watch us free. If they watch us free, I think they get amazed at what the likes of you two and the rest of the guys in the paddock can do. Because if you ride a bike, you know yourself, people think they're as quick as you, mate. They ain't a fucking paddock. No, but it's true. You know, you go on a track day, you become the danger because you're too fucking quick for them, right? People don't, they need to come and see it in the flesh to go, Jesus Christ, that's fucking, you know? It's like that, and the TT even more so. You know, you're down the bottom of Braille and you're bottoming out at 170 miles an hour. It's fucking unreal.
I can't get me
until you see it, you can watch it on TV as many times as you want. But until you think, Jesus, you know. So I love that. But from a sponsor, I want it to be free for anybody to want to watch the telly. I'd love it to be. I'd love it to be free for people to come in, but that's not economically viable for the circuits, you know. But from a sponsor's point of view, it's a really difficult thing. So, does a sponsor want a customer that wants something free, or does a sponsor want a customer that is willing to pay 350 quid a year for it just to watch it? From a sponsor's point of view, I don't particularly like it, and this is what I'm saying. But I can look at it and I accept and actually agree with, let alone accept, the business model that to a sponsor, as you were saying, like the Samsungs and the Airwaves and the tenner for men. Should we throw that one in, right? Yeah. That they're going to throw a lot of money in. They want customers that they know have a certain disposable income, and if you're spending 30 quid a month to watch it, you've got more they will see that you've got more disposable income. A lot of people won't do it on principle, you know, but then Eurosport you paid for, because I mean I get Eurosport as part of my Sky and this and the other, all part of your Discovery Plus and all that sort of stuff. So you know, when you look at these things, you know, your BBC license is what, about 170 quid now. I don't know, my Sky's about 100 quid or something like that. Weird. And then, you know, so it's a lot of money. Most of these packages, you know, but that's the whole world's going that way now. Everything's moving away from terrestrial. I'd like to think, I mean, I think BSB's broadcasting 40 countries live now. I'd like to think that because we're getting more and more of a global audience, we can attract more and more of a global business that will invest in our sport. But it does need, the teams need funding more. Absolutely. I know that with the most recent painful experience. And I know other teams that are suffering. I know, you know. I've always, you know, and it needs more funding at its grassroots as well. We sponsor British mini bikes, but not for a lot of money, if I'm brutally honest. I need to do more with them. Alan Lord, I'll give you a call. We'll do some more. Because what I do is not a lot. I spend more on tyres in a fucking weekend. Do you know what I mean? And so it's fuck all. But more needs funding there. We need, if we want superstars, you go out to Spain and you see 4 and 5 year old kids on a car park at a racetrack just doing figure of eights all fucking day. And they can do it all year because it's dry and warm. We haven't got that. What we need, I think, if there's any property developers or somebody, if you've got something like 100,000 square foot warehouse that's a bit fucked, and, you know, can we put tarmac inside it rather than concrete and just have kids ride around all winter, you know?
Yeah, for those that don't know, by the way, when we go to Spain testing, what happens is at 5 o'clock when the kids finish school or whatever it is, the car parks just turn into mini bike tracks, don't they?
Yeah.
And it's a bit like the kids go playing football over here.
Yeah.
But they just go and ride bikes.
And we wonder why MotoGP and World's paddocks are predicated by Spanish and Italian riders, because the Italians do exactly the same. If we want British riders to be that good, we need them starting at 5 and we need them riding every day, every weekend at the worst. Doing something, just getting their skill set up.
Joking aside, it's quite impressive that the Brits are as good as we are.
Oh, it is.
Given how we start off.
Well, here's the weird thing. So the British tracks are, I mean, we've had plenty of continental European riders, I should say, I suppose, come to BSB and not be able to do it. That are fantastic riders, you know. I had one ride for me. Love him to bits. Hector Barbara. Fucking phenomenal rider.
And for his size, you're like, how do you do that? How do you wrestle that bike
I
around?
called him Bailey because he was just a caravan all the time.
Yeah.
Hitched on.
But this is what I mean. He couldn't do our circuits. They're totally alien to them. You know? They need... But he's a fantastic rider.
Yeah.
You put him on his day. I mean, even in
Wait,
his year with us...
250 Grand Prix? Did he win 250 Grand Prix races? I think he did.
Did he not win the championship? 250, I don't know. But, I mean, even in the year that he was your caravan, he broke the lap record at Donington.
Sorry, fucking hell.
No, but let's just put it out. Hold on. Let's just no, because Hector's great, but while he was being your caravan, he broke the lap record at Donington. So he wasn't that slow.
Oh, no, I didn't
But it
say
had
slow.
to be.
Sorry.
Oh, there's plenty of fucking caravans in the world. We all know that.
God,
But do you know what I mean? But he was a little bit like a lot of Spanish and Italian riders that come into the British paddock. I think they have to be caravans because it's like, what the fuck? You know,
where you going?
We're almost in a way.
the track's half the width.
Yeah, our tracks are almost like a different sport. It's like doing.
It is. This is the point. So we are a different sport in many ways. You know, which is why you get a lot of Brits can go over. But on the political side of it, I think is in the world paddocks, worlds of MotoGP. You know, out of UK paddocks, there's a lot of politics comes into it that maybe shouldn't. I mean, Ryan, who rode for me for the last 2 years, we all know has gone to Worlds now. Fingers crossed he does really, really well. He's doing okay, I think, at the minute. He's on an okay bike. I'm not being disparaging there. I mean, they know where they are in their paddock, and he's doing all right. He's had a little off the other day. They happen. Everybody crashes. Yeah. Everybody crashes. You know, if you don't crash, I mean, you know, what are you doing? Marquez has lots of them. He's quite good. But it's unusual to get Brits going over there at the minute.
Yeah.
Because it is dominated by Spanish and Italians, and it just is. Part of it is because in England we're lazy fuckers and we don't learn languages. Right? If you're a young rider now and you want to get into Worlds of MotoGP, learn Spanish, learn Italian. Learn one of them, the other one will become a lot easier. And you know what? If you go and ride for an Italian team, they'll speak Spanish as well. So if you only learn Spanish, you'll be fine. English, not so good. So if you want to get into the world stage, learn a language. Do a little bit of that as well. Use your head as well as your body.
With regards to, you've had a lot of support since the news came out from the championship.
Yes.
I'm not going to single out the head of the championship. I'm going to say BSB in general.
Yep.
Do you think that there could be... No, I'm going to do two parts of this question.
Okay.
One, do you think there could be more assistance to the teams or better collaboration between them and the two? And you also run a roads team in WTF, obviously. Did, sorry. But you have done.
Rub it in, you know what I mean?
You've got.
Sorry, Dom, I'm doing my best for you.
What I was going to say.
You know the knife I put in his back? Could you take it out for me?
Yeah. The two obviously do things and assist teams and assist riders and that. How do the two compare and in their approach and in how forthcoming are they in separate ways?
Give me part one again.
I can't remember part one. Right. I went on for that long then.
Okay.
How does
the championship support you?
Yeah, it was basically the assistance before that came since the announcement. Would it have been helpful beforehand?
Okay. The only reason I don't know how to answer it probably properly is that we've not had the need to ask for assistance before.
Right.
So I don't know how it would normally be.
Yeah.
You know? What I can say...
The shit hit the fan and help was provided.
Okay. You know, so I can't fault that. When now there will be those, it's because they were the champion team or because they got... I can't answer.
Yeah.
You know, I can just say fair. It was there and we were called and we were spoken to and we were helped and we were given possible solutions and we were given... There was lots and lots and lots.
Yeah.
But we haven't needed any before, so I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, I can only answer for us there. I can say that through our years in the paddock, as we've grown, and there's a possibility we grew too quick, but we grew to the funding we had. you know? And so when I got more funding, I didn't go, oh, I'll put that in my pocket. I spent it in the paddock. But as we grew, yeah, the paddock supported us massively. We ended up with the hospitality how we wanted. We ended up with more vehicles getting in so that the team could sleep on site, and we didn't have to pay for hotels. You have to pay for the motorhome thing, so it's about the same. But it's I think better that we're in the paddock because on those bad days the guys are working till midnight or 1 o'clock. You don't want to then get in the car and drive 20 minutes to a hotel, and you just want to fall into bed if you want. So as we've needed things in the paddock and we've requested them, in general terms we've got them. I still never got my I want to be able to park where I want pass. Sorry, Stuart. I don't ask for much. He knows I don't ask for much. I don't think. But no, they have been enormously helpful. I've had lots of positive messages from, I mean, as you probably know, we used to feed all the marshals on a Friday evening.
Yeah.
I've had lots of marshals sending me really nice messages. I've had lots and lots of nice messages from many, many fans of the team and of Carl and of Brad and of Joe, saying how obviously sad the situation was and this sort of stuff, but being really, really kind. I've had some particularly vile ones. I've had 2 people wish that I get cancer again and die.
You are joking.
No, I'm not. It was quite... Now, my skin's way too thick for it to fucking bother me. But in fact, one of them wished that I catch cancer again, so it doesn't even know how you get it. It's not transmissible, mate. So that was, it gives you a little idea of where they're coming from. And I did get sent, I have quite a distinct number plate on my car, and I got sent a picture of my car from the paddock telling me that big cars don't always keep you safe, which is, there's lots of people I ain't worried about it. I survived prison, bring it on if you want, but come to my face. So some people, and I try and put you know what I'm like, I try and put a positive spin on anyone. The only thing I can put it down to is that there are lots and lots of really passionate people about the sport we have, and that's a good thing. They may be directing it inappropriately, but I have had a couple of hundred horrible messages. Not those are my 3 worst, but I've had a couple of hundred horrible ones, and you think,
do the good outweigh the bad?
Oh yeah, massively, because I ignore the bad. I just delete the bad. Yeah, and the good ones, when I've been low and a bit depressed about what's going on, when I hadn't sorted and still haven't sorted as much as I'd want to. I'd want to do more, but I just can't at the minute. You can look at the good messages again, and you feel a little bit better about it. I've had, let's think, who's contacted me. There's. I'm going to give a couple of names specifically, but I'm not in the bosses. I've spoken to a couple of bosses from teams. One of them's like my oldest friend in the paddock, ridiculously supportive. You know who you are, you gorgeous beast. So he was in touch and has been ridiculously supportive, which is really nice. I've had a lot of riders have got my number. You said we've chatted over times, things like that. And it's nice to hear what you said about what we've done in the paddock over the years. But I've had Glenn Irwin and Andrew Irwin both sending me messages. Really, really nice messages. And I like them both anyway. Probably a bit like me. Some people don't like them, some do. I don't care who doesn't like me. But they were already high on my list of good people. People agree with me or not, I don't care. They went up a step again with the messages that they've sent me. And I'm trying. I see now that I'm naming it, I've got to make sure I don't miss fucking some people. Do you know what I mean? You might have to. This might be a bit to edit.
You've got a 4-hour drive home, and I don't think you'll have all night to actually say thank you to everyone.
I've had so many. I've had, and our hospitality staff now. Yeah, I've just had. They've all been. All my guys have been sweet, which is nice. Kyle has been so good in what has been a fucking horrible situation for him. But, yeah, it's been good.
Good.
It's a horrible situation. But there's a lot of nice things come out of it, which is really quite sweet.
And you're still in the paddock.
Yeah.
Back in the paddock.
Back in the paddock.
Back in the paddock. No, well,
Is it
you
still
see,
or back?
back.
Oh, because I guess you had completely folded, hadn't you?
Our entry, we didn't fold.
You
I'll do it
ceased
again.
racing.
Jesus Christ, how many times?
You ceased racing activity,
our
yeah.
entry was withdrawn, so we did not have a.
A slot.
Yeah, basically. So I never get this bit right. Is the MCRCB?
Yeah.
The MCRCB, MSV have had to have a special meeting to give us dispensation and a late entry.
Wow.
So again, Stuart could have told me to fuck off. He has been, genuinely, I don't deal with Stuart a lot. I haven't needed to. I hear people say, he's got, arguably, it's the toughest fucking job in the world, right? Because you can't please people. It's like a football referee. You're fucked. I mean, why do you want to do that, you know?
It's a pretty thankless task he's got, to be
It's
fair.
horrendously thankless. But we all know realistically he does it fucking well. Even if he's done this decision against you, right? You'll go home and you'll watch it and you'll go, yeah, right. Even, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it does. And so I think it's a thankless task. And I wouldn't want to fucking do it.
No, I mean, neither.
I
No,
love
me
business.
neither.
I love dealing with. Fuck no, I want to do that or anything like it. So to do that and deal with the politics, I'm not good at politics. I'm really not good. It's like, tell me what you think, right? And that's it. If you don't like me, don't like me. If you do, fair enough. I'm not going to lose sleep over either. People. So, what else do you want to know?
No, I tell you what, I'm just over the moon. You're back in the paddock.
Back in the
And
paddock.
you've done, you know what?
We'll be red and black.
It's going to be different.
We'll be
I like it. I like it's going to be a different colour.
We'll be red. We'll look like your fucking shirt. We'll be red and black by the time Kyle rolls out of the garage at Donington next Friday.
Exciting.
wait.
And Alan, on a personal note, I can't thank you enough.
Pleasure, mate.
No, and you know what you've
We've
done for the
still got time.
sport and everything
We've got
like
a few
that.
minutes
And
left before you go, mate. So if I can do more, I will. You know I will.
No, but class. But hey, thank you for coming up tonight, and just thank you for to be blunt, sharing your story.
It's all right.
And
I'd have told anybody that asked.
I know, no, not even just that. You know, and to be blunt, setting the record straight. You know what I mean? Because
some people don't like me less now.
Nah, but
Okay.
doesn't matter.
I highly doubt that. if I'm honest with you.
I'm with him.
My father always used to have a saying that is, I've got to remember it now. Reputation is what others think of you, and character is who you are.
Nice. That is so true.
So people that know me know what my character is. I don't give a fuck about my reputation.
Alan, thank you so much
Thanks,
for coming
mate.
on the show, mate.
It's a
Honestly,
pleasure.
it's been absolutely fantastic.
Amazing.
And obviously, we also a little.
There's still donuts left.
3 donuts left, and obviously, thank you very much to Lucky Day Competitions, JCT Truck and Try. Alan, thank you for great announcing your.
Thank you very much to
OMG.
No. Nitrous competitions. Just for the record.
You're gonna have to peel that off.
No. Do you mind if I keep doing this? Is that all right with you?
That would be amazing.
Right, cool.
Obviously, you've had a
We've
chat
already
with
had that
Grace and me,
conversation.
and
But it's like,
Grace is in the corner there shouting thank you. So obviously,
I thought I'd message you. You know when I messaged you about it, and I said, I think I said something like, "Give me a down," and I thought I'd gone because I was just in the middle of shit right at that time, right? And I thought I'd message you back, and then I said to you, didn't I? And I went, no, I've told Grace. I went to her. Fuck, I haven't told her.
No, but all joking aside, the show wouldn't be happening without you. So thank you
It's a pleasure,
so much. Thank you for coming up.
Don't do it for you, do it for Chris. So you can.
Hey, I get that a lot. But thank you.
Pleasure, mate.
And I hope everyone enjoyed the show. There's no doubt in my mind that you didn't. So we'll catch you all next time. Thank you
The
very
wrong
much.
one, isn't it? Sorry.
Hey,
It's fantastic. It's flown by.
it's
20
been
to
class, man.
10.
We just
I've
have.
got a 4-hour drive now.
Yeah, you've got that, but 10 minutes for him and 5 minutes for me. So it's this has
off
been
the
lovely,
lolly,
mate.
yeah.
So, but obviously, thank you so much yet again.
Pleasure, mate. Cheers.
Catch you soon.
Be good.